So in this video, I'm going to address something that I wish I understood a very long time ago, because it would have made me so much more powerful as a person. And the thing that I want to talk about here is urges. So what's the problem? One of the messages and questions that I get from people most often when we talk about pornography and wanting to stop pornography is, well, what am I going to do about my urges, my desire, if I'm no longer watching porn? So the urge arrives, you relieve it with normally pornography, and then temporarily it goes away. Okay, and then the next time the urge comes up, you then relieve it again. It's like whack-a-mole, like using porn to like just get rid of the urge. So what do you do when you're no longer having pornography? That urge arises, but there's no hammer to whack it down with. So what do you do? And so that's what I want to address in this video, because I went most of my teenage and even adult life being under the control of these urges. It kind of makes you feel like you're powerless, right? For example, for me, I remember lots of times and examples of me having this battle and always losing. And so, for example, if I was ever trying to do something work-related that was, say, behind the laptop or on my phone, like some video editing, as soon as I encountered a bit of resistance and I'm here with the laptop, it's like, the urge comes. It's like, I've got to relieve this. So you relieve it, but then the energy's not even there in the same way. And then probably 45 minutes later, the same thought comes into your head. It's like, are we really doing this again? It leaves you in quite a powerless place. And so that was a big struggle for me. And so one of the big wins has been learning to be able to understand this whole thing better. And that is one of the most important things to understand if you're wanting to be able to quit pornography use for good. Because if you're under the control of your urges, even if you understand that porn isn't good for you, and then it's not actually providing you anything, the urges are still going to come because of how we are biologically speaking. So if you're still under the control of them, eventually you're going to fall back into the habit. So there's a big false belief that sits on top of this problem. And the beliefs are that if an urge came to mind, first of all, that means I thought it. And second of all, that means, well, if I thought it and it's in my mind, that must mean that I want it. And then finally, it's the idea that because it came to my mind and I therefore want it, therefore I have to act out on it. So it's this set of beliefs, they lead us to making actions and decisions that actually we don't want to do. So let's talk about that for a minute. So the first idea, the human experience is that we're the person doing the thinking and we're almost choosing to think that way. Like it's my idea, it's my thought. So if we just look at that for a second, is that really the case? Let's think about all ideas, any emotion, any thought, anything that comes into our mind. Did we actually choose to think it? Like if we just stopped now for a second and we just close our eyes, at some point a thought will come into your head. If you actually do that exercise now, stop and just do nothing until a thought comes into your head and then think about what that thought is. It's probably something completely random. And then if you think, well, did I choose to think that? Well, no, where do these thoughts come from? Where do these feelings come from? Where do these emotions come from? They don't really come from anywhere. It's just the nature of our experience that things just pop into existence. And then we choose to then continue thinking about them or attach to them or act on them. And then the second one, if it's not true that we actually thought it in the first place, then is it really true that we therefore must want it? If we didn't choose it, do we really want it? I mean, maybe we do, right? I'm not to say that any thought that we have is not true or aligned with us, but the big point here is that we are programmed biologically to want certain things. Why is that? All that pleasure is the biological mechanism or programming created to encourage the survival of the species. So why is it pleasurable to eat? We need food to survive. It's a very clever biological trick to make us enjoy the thing that we need to sustain our existence. And in the same way, how do we also sustain existence? Reproduction. So why does sex feel good? Well, it feels good because then the species will continue to reproduce and sustain itself, which is what our genes want, and therefore we continue living. So it's a very clever way of ensuring the survival of a species. But really, that's actually what pleasure is. It's kind of like a biological trick. Then you can start to ask a bigger question. Is that really what I want, or is that just my biological programming? And then the third one is like, well, then I thought it, I want it, therefore I have to act on it. And again, this is the final false belief that we all fall prey to. Is it really true that we have to act on it? Because what's true in this situation is we don't choose the thoughts, yes, but we do choose the action. And if you can understand that you didn't choose the thought, and maybe the thought isn't actually what you fundamentally as a human want, then it becomes a lot easier to make a better and a clearer choice about what you actually want as a human. And they might still be the same thing, right? But in the case of pornography, that's not true. Let's say there's someone that you're very attracted to in real life, and maybe you're interested in them as a partner. That's a very positive thing. So the urge comes, and then you want to act on it by maybe going to speak to them, and seeing what they're like. That's a very positive thing. And maybe that leads to a relationship. And so they are guiding us in the right direction. But when it comes to something like pornography, obviously we're not gaining anything from porn. And because it all comes down to that pleasure, right? But the whole point of the pleasure is to drive us towards behavior that sustains the species. But porn doesn't exist when evolution was kind of creating our programming. And so now we've been hijacked by something that plugs into one of the most fundamentally powerful drivers. But the end result of us acting out on, say, watching porn is we're not getting the evolutionary advantage that we were programmed to try and get. But we keep doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it because we don't understand actually what's fundamentally going on. So now this is the solution. Based on what I just described, if we don't ever choose actually our thoughts, our ideas, our urges, is that real freedom? Like, who's really in control there? If we purely act on instinct, then what's actually the difference between us and animals, right? But there is a big difference because we actually do have the ability to choose. But our natural experience is that we don't think that we do. And we're so attached to these thoughts and ideas that when they come, they think, well, I want that, so I have to act on it. And actually porn in itself also trains that idea as well, the dependence on it, the reliance on it. And so once you see this is such a big unlock, and I really hope this message gets through. And this is the thing, even from my position now, where I'm at, where I don't watch porn, I won't ever watch porn, I'm not struggling with waking up in the morning and having morning wood and like, oh no, what do I do now? I'm not having that issue, but the thoughts still come, and I still think about porn. I still have those desires, they still come, but it's very easy for me to be able to recognize them and just be like, oh, there goes my biological desires just kind of playing up again in a way that I don't want them to. Step one, the most powerful thing you can do, and this will sound really simple, but it's so powerful, is just noticing. And when you notice, actually, so suddenly a lot of the power is stripped away from what you were thinking. So let's just say right now, I have an urge. Like I see my laptop and I think, oh, and maybe the idea of a specific video comes into my mind. Wouldn't that be nice to watch? So that idea came, but recognizing suddenly, if I just recognize that, wait, I didn't actually think that just arrived on its own. And I can just sit there for a second and just notice it and think, oh, and there's that thought again. And then think, well, actually, is that something that I really want to do? I know how detrimental and negative porn is. So I know that it's not something that I want to do. And I know that it's programmed into me to want that, to be triggered to do that. So I'm not surprised when it comes. It's normal. It comes, I can recognize it. I understand that it's not what I really want. But now that I've noticed it and I've taken this time and I know that it's not me, right? It's not that I want this. It just strips all the power out of it. It really does. And then the final core thing is that, yes, we'll still think those things, but we do not have to act on them, okay? Yes, we do not choose what comes into our mind. We don't choose our emotions. We don't choose our thoughts, our feelings, our ideas. We don't choose that, but we do choose action. And that's the power that we have as humans. You know, we have this mammal brain that sits right in the middle of our brain. And so everything passes through there and it's much stronger, it's much faster than our human brain. It's completely emotional and it always responds first, but it doesn't choose action. So even if that, the chimp brain, the monkey brain inside of us has that initial emotional reaction and wants to respond to something, us as humans, we can acknowledge it, recognize it, understand that it's normal, but we don't have to act on it. And when you see it in that way, then it's no longer about fighting, like, oh no, I've had this thought again, and oh, I can't do that, I shouldn't do that, oh no, oh no. It's not about that. It's about acceptance, because those things will come. As I said, the goal of quitting porn, like you'll never get to a place where you'll never think about it ever again. For sure, you'll start to think about it less frequently because it will become less and less important to you. But the thoughts will still come. And it could be about anything. We're never in control of our thoughts, but we are in control of our actions. And we don't have to respond to something. So just by noticing and acknowledging, we strip all the power away. And again, that is so cool because ultimately that is our gift as human beings, that we have the power to choose. And those choices make a difference. And so when you see that it's not really you, it's not what you really want, it's your biological programming, it's your monkey brain trying to desperately get as much instant pleasure and gratification and dopamine as possible in the moment, because that's what porn will offer it. When you just recognize that and you see that is pleasure and happiness the same thing? No, it's not. So yes, pleasure is a powerful thing. With delicious food, you can have the most wonderful meal, and that's such a good experience. Real sex with a real partner that you have real connection with, the pleasure in that is amazing. But the pleasure behind porn or the pleasure behind junk food, it's fake pleasure, it's instant gratification that immediately makes us feel worse afterwards. But ultimately, when you see that and you see that pleasure isn't happiness, they are not the same thing. Pleasure does not equal fulfillment. Pleasure, again, is just biology's way of making us do what we need to do as a human species. So what are we really looking for? Are we looking for pleasure in the moment, or are we looking for fulfillment and happiness? And if we're choosing happiness and fulfillment, then it's very easy to see that porn doesn't sit into that. So then it's very easy to understand that when an urge comes for porn, we don't have to choose that. So try and put that into effect. Next time an urge comes, just recognize it. Just sit with it for a second. And then ask yourself, is this actually really what I want? Or is just my biological programming just trying to play tricks on me again? And suddenly you'll see that the power is taken away. If I'd have understood this when I was younger, this would have saved me a lot of stress and a lot of pain.